episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock for the love of sewing, P&B Fabrics, our fabrics, your lifestyle, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America. Hi, you're watching Quilt with the Stars. I'm Mary Fons, and I'm joined here by Nancy Mahoney, the fabulous, the star. We're all starstruck. Nancy makes nothing but gorgeous quilts.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
It's true. It's true. We have one extra gorgeous one today, Fan Dance. Let's take a look at your quilt, Nancy. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, Mary, this one is all appliqué, and it can be done as a machine applique project or if a hand applique if you wanted to have a project to take with you as you were, traveling or taking your kids to their games or something like that.
Absolutely.
So it's a great project.
It's good to have something with you to take along.
It is.
Cool,
yeah.
Cool. Well, let's take a look at how to make one of these awesome blocks.
Okay. So what I do first is I always do a printout. And since I use electric quilt, I just print it out of the computer. Of course, it'll be in the magazine. This quilt will be available in the Love of Quilting magazine. So the printout will be in the magazine.
And that'll be March, April of 2012.
Correct.
Yep.
So I cut a square, my background square, and I just line it up in the corner for placement. It makes it really handy that I can just lay everything on that, and then I don't have to worry about marking my lines.
Yeah, nice.
Now, these 4 pieces, what I do is I take a template, and I just make a template out of regular template plastic. This template includes my seam allowance. I lay it on my fabric, and then I use a rotary cutter just to cut along the edge, or I can use a ruler if I don't want to cut against my template, and I can place it on there, slide it up against it, and remove my template, and then cut along the edge of the ruler.
I'd probably put the ruler down. I mean, I just think I'd start slicing through my template, but some people wouldn't have to do it.
Well, I've been known to slice through my template.
Oh, really?
So,
you too?
Yeah, I just put a little tape on it.
I love it when they tell me those things. Great.
Then what I do is I use a regular just glue stick pen, and I just mark along. See, I can see where my marks are.
Right.
And I just mark this along there. Sometimes I tape this down or I pin it, my background down, so that I glue all of those in place.
Okay.
Okay.
And that glue just washes out.
This is a
great
water-soluble glue.
Beautiful.
And you just want to do that on all the lines, on all of the pieces, so that those are held in place temporarily. The next thing I would do is I would make a template out of template plastic that is a no-melt. It's a heat resistant.
And this template, just so they can see, this template and this template, these are made out of different materials. So this is what you just said, but I wanted to kind of show them together.
Correct. And if you would iron against this template, it would melt. So
no melting. Bad. No melting.
Yes.
And your pattern will tell you these things and give you the supply list, so look for the Love of Quilting issue.
So you want to make sure that when you make this template, it's out of the no-melt. Then I cut a strip. This will be all in the pattern. I cut a 5.5-inch strip, and I just lay my template on there.
And that template does not include the seam allowance, right? Because we're going to fold over and iron, what Nancy's going to show you.
So I would want to allow for that. I would want to space it over so that's about 1/4 inch on that side and about 1/4 inch on this side, and then I would cut my piece with a rotary cutter.
Cool.
You could mark it with a pencil and cut it without the template there.
Nice. And you've cut a few of those
then
already,
I pre-cut some already.
Great.
So this is my piece here, and you can see it's a little bit larger than my template. I'll just move this out of the way for the time being. And this is just starch that I've put a little bit of water in. And I also like to use these pounces. You can get these in your regular craft store.
That's the tiniest little pounce I've ever
isn't
seen.
it cute? I like it because it really allows you to paint that starch on your fabric and just get a nice coverage on your fabric. And you can do it with your template or without your template. Okay?
It's a pouncelet.
It's a pouncelet.
Like a 0.8 ounce pounce.
And then I just use the tip of the iron and I just press the seam allowances over the template. You want to hold it until it's dry. Just make sure it's good and dry. You don't want steam, although we have steam.
Let's see. Turn
that steam off. Because you don't want to burn your fingers.
Right. Oh, and there's this little tip, too, about non-burning
So then when
fingers.
I turn it around to do the other side, sometimes your template is still kind of hot. And then I can use my little stick here. This is just a regular popsicle stick.
It's tricky. I like it. Very, very ingenious and
not hold intuitive. It in place so that I can press the other side.
Innovative, yes.
Innovative.
And we had a friend, we did this tip on TV not too long ago, a hairstylist friend. There's a few curling irons that come with a little glove, a little heat-resistant glove, so when you're curling your hair, you don't burn your fingers. Well, those little gloves are awesome for doing this kind of thing, too. So
So there I have both of those pressed. I remove my template and then I just press it one more time.
Sure.
Just to make sure everything's being held in place.
Set it.
Then I use a little bit of fabric glue. This is just a regular water-soluble glue.
Like a basting
glue. And I just put a little bit along the edge of each side. Doesn't have to be neat. That's the great thing about this project.
Nice.
You don't have to be neat.
This is kind of combining some quilt making and some crafting almost. I mean, there's kind of some, you know.
And then you just lay that on top like that.
some
And you'd
overlap.
make one for each one.
Beautiful. Here's another one here.
There's another one there.
Great. That's a nice edge. That looks awesome. Okay, what comes
Then we
next?
do this piece here. I've already cut a piece. I cut a 3.5-inch strip. I lay my template on it. I add the seam allowance so that I end up with a piece that looks like that. Then I take it over the ironing board and I just repeat the process of putting glue on it, or I'm sorry, putting starch on it.
We like to call these the crust and the pie.
Yes.
And we came up with the other day that this was the ice cream or the a la mode, you know, the little
And
little
you
point.
just use the edge of the iron again just to work that over there until you get a nice, crisp piece. That's not wanting to. There we go.
And you do have to take time with
You have to
these,
take
right?
time
I
with
mean,
it, yeah.
we're kind of speeding through a demo today, but of course you'd take time with it.
And then again, I would apply glue along that. And maybe we could show the one I've already glued.
Great.
And we'll just switch this out.
All right.
So here you can see all the pieces already glued into place. And we have one more piece, which is the arc
Great.
that goes on the outside. Now, for this technique, I just cut a bias strip that's 1 inch wide. This is a 1/2-inch bias tape maker. And you just start it in there. You start with a point. When you pull it through, you just...
I love those little things, I have
Aren't
to
these
say.
great?
It's like a little game. I don't know. It's like
And you just run that iron along there.
cheap thrills, you know?
And Mary, I found if I spray this with starch before I iron it and just let it dry, you'll get a nice crisp edge to it.
Cool.
I'm going to run off the edge there, but we'll be fine.
Can help you. Okay.
And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to apply a little bit of glue all along the edge here.
I like the design is really great. Part of the effectiveness, I think, is that your black is really framing that fan. You know, it just really makes it pop. It's really
And then
cool.
I would just glue that in place all the way around. And then I would come back and apply glue on the inside edge along here and glue that all into place.
And then do you give the whole thing a press?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
At this point, I would take it to my sewing machine, or I would plan on doing it by hand. If I was going to do it machine applique, I would have a choice of using a monofilament thread if I didn't want the stitches to show.
Right.
Or with this, I actually could use a black thread and match it to the color.
And I think on your quilt, you did a blanket stitch with the
I did
monofilament.
a very tiny blanket stitch with the monofilament thread.
And that's on the a la mode, right?
Right. It's on the sticks.
And on the sticks.
Yeah. And on both sides of this outer curve.
On the frame, the
frame.
frame of the fan. And then you join your blocks together at your sewing machine?
Correct. You just lay them out as I've shown in the quilt.
Yeah.
Sew them together. There's nothing to match, so you don't have to really even pin.
Yay!
We were talking about pinning.
Yeah,
earlier.
we were.
And you just sew them together and then add your borders on.
It's just awesome. I love the red and black and white. It's very, very modern. Very modern of Nancy.
Thanks.
Cool. So the next part of our show, I hope you stick around for that or check it out. We're going to do a trunk show with Nancy and take a look at pictures of her studio as well. So join us for that.
This episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock for the love of sewing, P&B Fabrics, our fabrics, your lifestyle, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America.